Three strikes and you're out. I got 3 cabinet members in Donald Trump's own administration that, by his own definition, have committed mortgage fraud. If you define mortgage fraud as holding more than one property that you've listed as your primary residence at the same time in order to get favorable mortgage rates. That's what Donald Trump uses Bill Pulte, the Nepo baby that heads the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac entities, to go after as a pit bull, go after Democrats for quote unquote mortgage fraud, like Lisa Cook of the Federal Reserve. They've even opened up a Department of Justice criminal investigation. And yet there are 3 members of Donald Trump's own cabinet, according to the very same public records that Bill Pulte used against the Democrats, that show they have committed quote unquote mortgage fraud, or at least they list 2 properties at the same time as their principal residence. I'm going to go over the sordid tale of the Labor Secretary, the Transportation Secretary, and the Administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency, and why, based on Donald Trump's own sword, it should be off with their heads. Here on the MeidasTouch Network and Legal AF, I'm Michael Popok. ProPublica just broke the story because they went and did what Bill Pulte did. They pulled all the public records. I'm just going to warn everybody now. You have a mortgage, your life is in the public records and anybody can pull it. So they went through all the cabinet members. There's 15 of them. And they found 3 of them, or 20%, that have 2 properties at the same time that they have listed as their primary residence. Why does that matter? Because in the mortgage lending market business, you get usually 1/4 to 1/2 percentage point better rate if you live in the home full time. The theory is, from a behavioral standpoint, you won't default on your loan if you're living there. You're less likely to, but you might default on the rental property or the second home, the vacation home, and that's the theory. And you know, this is all based on risk assessment, and so they give you a better rate if you live there. Well, there's also plenty of reporting out there, including, get this, speaking of the Federal Reserve, a 2023 Philadelphia Federal Reserve report that says this type of activities, multiply listing 2 primary residences, is not the fault of the borrower. It's the fault of the loan officer. That real estate lawyers say it is commonplace for banks who know about the fact you have a primary loan to list the second loan as a primary loan as well. So it gets through underwriting, even from the same bank. They encourage it. Not that they encourage fraud. They just encourage that box get checked and the language, the primary residence language, be included in order to get a better rate. And what is the borrower left with? The borrower's left with a raft of documents that go to the ceiling. Check, 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 check. And now it's even electronic. Check, 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 check. And then it's like, oh, you committed mortgage fraud. I mean, the only case that Bill Pulte, this Nepo baby whose family has a housing construction fortune based in the Southeast, the only thing he could ever come up with, this is fraud. All right, give me one example where it's been prosecuted. Well, there's this 2016 case. All right, let's talk about the 2016 case. The 2016 case, the woman was a straw man, a fall person. She wasn't even the buyer. She was using her credit to obtain loans for some other thief, some other fraudster. They bought a whole series of houses and properties under her name, listing each one as primary residence. And then when she went belly up and all the properties got lost, it was about a $500,000 loss to the banks. Well, that's not what we have here. We're just talking about checking boxes at this point. Let's look at the sordid tale. First of all, Bill Pulte loves to go on his social media. He's fallen in love with his social media following, and he loves to post there, even though he's supposed to be head of a major mortgage entity in America. And he'll say, 3 strikes and you're out, Lisa Cook. I might have found a 3rd property, or, fraud will not be tolerated in Donald Trump's housing market. And then right on cue, you see Pam Bondi or Ed Martin, who's prosecuting or looking into the prosecution of Adam Schiff, the senator, because he has 2 properties, one in DC and one in California. And Lisa Cook, and she's got a couple of properties. And maybe Letitia James, the New York Attorney General, has a multifamily house that may be 4 units instead of 5 units or whatever it is. It's ridiculous. Let's look at first the Labor Secretary, Chavez, Labor Secretary Lori Chavez DeRimmer. She used to be the mayor of Oregon. She's got a house in Oregon. Public records show it's her primary residence. And yet, she has another house in an Arizona golf course community for several $1 million with a loan attached to it, where she lists that as her primary residence, and she did it all in the same year. 3 strikes and you're out, Pulte. I mean, I'm expecting now, as I'm recording this hot take, that there be a Department of Justice criminal investigation opened as to Lori Chavez de Remer, the labor secretary. Instead, I get quotes back from their spokespeople. This is just a left-wing rag sheet. No, it's not. You have the same multiple property primary residence box checking problem that Lisa Cook does, and at least Adam Schiff does. Let's go to the transportation secretary, Sean Duffy. He's fun because there's a Fox News link to this one. Sean Duffy is married to Rachel Campos Duffy from The Real World. Remember her? I do. And now she's on Fox News. Well, they have 2 properties, one in my home state of New Jersey and one in the District of Columbia, where he works full-time. At the same time, primary residences. That's interesting. In fact, when you look closer on the Duffys, Secretary Duffy, the same bank gave him both loans. You would think that they would know whether he was committing mortgage fraud or not when they gave him a second loan. And if you add up the loans, they're really pricey. He has a mortgage for $1.76 million and another mortgage for $1.6 million. So he's got over $3 million worth of property where he's checked the exact same boxes as Lisa Cook of the Federal Reserve. Now let's go to the EPA Administrator Zeldin, busy accusing the Biden administration of committing fraud, of canceling grants and funding related to our environmental protection. He loves to talk about how much money he saved America. Well, how much money did you save because you have 2 mortgages, both listed as primary residence, Secretary or Administrator Zeldin, one in Long Island, where you've lived forever, and the other one in the District of Columbia, where you have a multi-million-dollar property there. My point, and the point of ProPublica's reporting, is not that this is prosecutable fraud. It's that it isn't. And that, no, I'm not suggesting that they be strung up by their toenails and prosecuted. I'm just suggesting that it is a complete hypocrisy for this administration to live in a glass house and throw giant stones at Senator Schiff and Lisa Cook and Letitia James just because they are blue and they are Democrats. As I said, and as reported by the Federal Reserve branch in Philadelphia, this is commonplace. Not that the fraud is commonplace, but that the use of the primary residence language on multiple loans for one person is commonplace. And now, on the same day this story broke, what happened? Remember, I've said time and time again, when Donald Trump announces something like a prosecution, we're at war with somebody, Maxwell's transcript is released, 30,000 pages of Epstein files released. When that happens, something bad happened that day to Donald Trump. He's on a tremendous losing streak of 8 separate cases in the last 2 weeks, 6 in the last 4 days in federal courts all across America. So he had to do something, and this ProPublica comes out right on schedule. We're starting the criminal prosecution. Throw the Department of Justice prosecutor manual and principles of proper prosecution out the door. We're prosecuting Lisa Cook. Well, then if you're going to do that, then open up an investigation against the labor secretary, the transportation secretary, and the administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency at the same time. Or don't. Your choice. So that always happens. Just as when he got a bad ruling, one more example, Donald Trump got a terrible ruling that he violated the Posse Comitatus Act by Judge Breyer, and another ruling coming out of the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals in Texas that he violated the Alien Enemies Act because we're not at war with Venezuela. And the same day, what happened? We're at war with Venezuela. We blew 11 people out of existence without due process in the Caribbean because we called them Venezuelan drug cartel members. Wow, how convenient. What a cover-up. It's uncovered now. I'm Michael Popok. You're on the MeidasTouch Network and Legal AF. Shout out to ProPublica for breaking the news story. I'm glad you're here. Take a moment, hit the free subscribe button. Come on over to Legal AF, the YouTube channel. Boom! Do the exact same thing. And we'll post this ProPublica story up on Legal AF Substack. So until my next report, I'm Michael Popok. Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.